Got Thrones is brought to you by Expression Tees. Check them out for all sorts of awesome Game of Thrones related apparel at gotthrones.expressiontees.com. You can find this podcast online at gotthrones.com, on Facebook at GotThrones, and on Twitter at GotThronesPcast. Today we're discussing Season 6, Episode 10, The Winds of Winter, with YouTube's Tina Foyle. Hello everyone, and welcome to Got Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Kolasinski. Alexandra unfortunately could not make it for this recording, but we have a wonderful guest host, my friend Nikolina Sarcevic.
Hi guys, I'm so glad to be here for the first time, and this is going to be a special one because I actually know Johnny Cole personally, and we've known each other for many years now.
Yeah, for almost 6 years. We met on a website called oneupme.com that's still kind of around. It's a fun wordplay site. And we actually met when I went to Europe last September.
Yes, it was fun. We met in Munich during the Oktoberfest.
Right. And now you're in Venice, correct?
No, near Venice. I'm in Padova, in Italy.
Okay. So where can folks find you online if they want to check out what you're doing with Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire?
You can find me on my channel on YouTube. It's called Tina Foyle for obvious reasons.
I love that.
Reasons. Yeah. But I'm mostly famous for being part of the Small Council podcast on James of Thrones' channel, also in YouTube, and I'm guest on many other channels like Teflon TV or Hypes Watch. So make sure to check that.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to be discussing a little bit more in depth the season finale, The Winds of Winter, which, oh my god, it was so awesome.
I agree. Episode 9 was pretty epic, and a lot of people gave it a perfect 10. It was almost 100,000 people gave it a perfect 10 score on IMDb. So when this episode, the finale aired, it was hard to believe they could one-up, I'm going to use that, but they could up the episode 9, but they managed to do it, and I agree that this episode was better than episode 9, for me personally.
I was really excited to see it because I don't know, do you know how the Emmys work at all?
Not really.
Okay, for a TV show, they submit one episode for consideration rather than the whole season of a show. And when it was released that the episode they submitted was episode 10 and not episode 9, I was just freaking out about how good it had to have been.
Oh, so they did it before the episode was aired.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily sent it out to people yet, but they said which episode they're going to be using as the for your consideration episode.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I didn't know about that fact. Oh, that's so cool. Because, you should, they probably give awards for music, right? And we have to talk about music.
Absolutely. Let's just roll right into it and start talking about King's Landing.
Sure.
And I think the first time we heard just solo piano at any point during all 6 seasons.
I'm not sure if you heard, but it was different. It was different, but in a good way. It kind of changed the tone.
It felt very modern.
Well, that's a trap. I talked about that with my husband. I mean, they're not gonna play Beyonce, right? But, my husband made a good point when I was complaining about the show using these expressions or phrases that sound too modern, like when Sansa told Jon this season, "I was being an ass to you," and I said, "Well, that sounds too modern," and he said, "Well, this is kind of medieval, but it's not really. It's a fiction, so they can use whatever they want," and I have to agree with him.
Well, with that specific one, it's also a pretty Shakespearean insult, so that one would fit. But I know what you're getting at, and I agree.
Yeah. So as for music, I mean, it made the show more serious, at least in my eyes.
It felt to me like a House of Cards moment with very suspenseful solo piano. And one thing that I've really liked all season is they have used silence very, very well. Like in the scenes with Tyrion and Grey Worm and Missandei. of them just sitting and looking at each other awkwardly.
I agree. I agree with that. And also for the when you say modern music, I mean, if you compare the famous songs in the show, like you have the Stark music, and it sounds medievalish.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to this Daenerys' song, I'm not sure how the name of the song because I'm not that crazy fan. But they use this song for these epic moments, like in this season when she burned the hut. It definitely sounds different or more modern than this medieval. I don't know which instruments they use for the medieval stuff, but you can see the difference. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was fair. It was really good idea to use this, and this Ramin Djawadi, he is amazing.
Yeah.
And he deserves to be given some award or.
And he's gotten them before, and I'm sure he's going to get it again.
Yeah.
It's the music is consistently incredible.
Incredible. And this, but it was at first it was so simple, only the piano and these bells that you hear, and it's thrilling. It's so thrilling. It's setting up the whole scene. So I think it was perfect. It was perfect.
I loved it. So we opened. We had our first moments of everyone getting prepared for their day at court or their day at the Sept, and got to see Maester Pycelle in all of his whoring glory as he's getting up. Luckily, we didn't see his naked ass this time.
Yes.
And for me, beyond the music, the moment I realized it was all going to go to shit was when that little kid, Varys' little bird, tapped him on the waist as he was walking down the stairs. And I consistently forget that at the end of Dance with Dragons, he's dead. Dragons or crows?
The dragons.
Yeah.
Dragons.
As he's he and the guy we call Kavan after Prince Duran Duran. He and Kavan Lannister both end up killed by Varys' little birds.
Kevin gets killed by Varys himself.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that's how we know that Varys is in on the Fagon plot.
Yes.
And I thought it was, given that Fagon, Prince Aegon, and the John Connington plot are probably not happening with about 15 hours of television left. Having Qyburn and Cersei also masterminding Pycelle's death, I thought was a good twist.
Yes, I agree. And because we mentioned music, I think we should give credit to whoever designed that costume of Cersei's. It was brilliant.
Oh, it was.
I cannot get past that costume. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And as for, if you wanted to say something, I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Oh no, it looks like armor.
It looks like armor, yes. And she looks so strong and determined in that costume, and it fits her well. And her acting was, everybody acted really well this episode. Especially Cersei, But I wanted to mention that if people know me from the Smoke Council, they will, or if they check my channel, they can see that I have a video on my Song of Ice and Fire story. So I've been in the fandom since 2004, so this is the first time I read the books. So I know all the theories, and this thing that happened in King's Landing we predicted many, many years ago. So I knew it was coming, but still I was in awe because it was done well.
It was done so well, and it seemed like it happened so quickly. Just like from a movement standpoint, they really started laying the seeds for it in the show only 4 or 5 episodes ago, when we saw the first time I really felt like this is where they're moving towards burning down King's Landing now, or burning down the Sept now. The first time I really felt like that was happening in the show was Bran's flashback to Summerhall.
That's true. Oh, that was not Summer Hall. That's what we talked about because the visions, everything that he saw in this fast forward, binge watching sequence that he had, as we called it. Um, the only thing that we knew that did not happen in the past was exactly this fire spreading through the tunnel. So we
Okay.
said, is this future? So because that was definitely not Summer Hall. And yes, we got it. He foreseen the future, which is amazing. Now, I'm sorry if I'm not trying to be snobby or
No,
anything.
no.
I think I have a pretty good knowledge of everything, but this is where the problem arises because when I say we, I refer to the people who have been reading books over and over again for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And we fall into a trap, especially people who are doing podcasts. You get fall into a trap that I need to have opinion every week on the episode, and I already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So and we talk about it all the time, offline and online, and then a lot of people who are into all of this, they say, oh, they've been tiling everything for this big moment with wildfire, and it was too obvious. And I said, well, yes, for us, because we think about it all the time.
Because we've been thinking about it for 10 years, because I think that was around the same time I was reading. I started reading the books right after Storm of Swords came out. So, what, 2003? Somewhere along there. So had a lot of time to sit and think about this. And
but we should not expect them to make the show only for book readers, right?
Exactly.
So
it'd be off the air by now.
Yes, I'm sorry. What is obvious to us, it's not obvious for, a casual watcher. So I don't mind this. Oh, it was too obvious because they've been mentioning wildfire 300 times this season. I don't mind. I think it was done well.
Me too. I'll occasionally fault them for being heavy-handed with things, but I don't think that... I think very few people who aren't paying deep attention really saw this coming.
Well, I did not ask my flatmates actually about this because they are in Firenze and they are visiting Tuscany. But that's the problem. A lot of people who are really into the show and loving it, I met some Polish people through my flatmates, and they've been watching the show, and they've been like, "Oh, we are really big fans," but they did not know that this Dario and the other Dario are not the same. They're like, "No, that's the other guy. That's some other guy." So I was like, they're just not paying attention. They love the show, but they're not crazy as we are. So I don't think we should be hard on them or on the show creators at all.
We call the first one Scooby Dario because he looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Steve Baby from Small Councils in Scooby. And it was really fun this season when they called the Dario and Jorah, looking for Danny, Super Dario brothers.
Oh, I love that.
It was really cool.
So, did you think Marjorie was going to make it out?
Oh, I predicted that she's going to go.
You thought she was going to die at the set?
Oh, yes, I've been saying that for a while, and then I was a guest on Teflon TV channel. He does 3 hours before this episode airs. He does a pre-game show with all the YouTubers. It's really fun to watch. And I predicted everything this episode. I was really, really happy for it, actually.
I up until everything went up in smoke, I thought that Marjorie at least was going to be up in the air whether or not she made it out. I thought we were going to see her get to the doors or something like that, and then we'd see the big boom. But it's obvious that no one there survived.
Yeah.
Did you? So you called Tommen jumping too then?
Oh yes, I thought he was gonna slip.
Lost you there.
Oh, sorry. For Tommen, I predicted his suicide at the beginning of the season.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I didn't think that he was gonna jump. I thought he was gonna slit his wrist or something. Yeah, but suicide definitely. I predicted that.
Katie, my wife, who you've met, has drew an interesting parallel between him jumping from the window and the end of episode 1 of season 1. and Bran getting pushed.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
nice little juxtaposition there.
Yes, I agree with her, and I thought the same thing because now we this season kind of closed some kind of circle. We got a lot of resolutions, especially Arya, and as we're going to talk soon. So I think that it's just closing the Lannister. You know, when Cersei had a lot to do with Bran's pushing from the Broken Tower, so it's kind of karma.
Yeah, very much.
May I just mention for this, also for Tommen's jumping out of the window, I have a fan who's been, emailing me all the time about the episodes, and she's been watching. Her name is Catherine Darkwing. She's been rewatching from the first season, so now she finds parallels because, of course, you watch the episodes, and then because you know what happened, you can, think about it carefully. And she said that, oh, did you notice that High Sparrow told Tommen this season that the crown and two pillars, he mentioned that.
They're the two pillars of the kingdom.
Exactly.
And when one crumbles, the other falls. And we saw the sept crumble, and Tommen immediately fell.
Exactly. Thank you, Jonica, for putting it better than me, because I haven't checked my quotes. Thank you very much. And when you think about these things that they're not doing this on the show, they are. They really are, because they are fans of the books. So I don't like bashing them all the time, as I'm known for that.
What were your thoughts on the Robert Strong and Septa Ratchet? I can't remember.
Septa
Onella. On that little moment.
Well, the only thing I was thinking about in this sequence was when he takes off his helmet, is it gonna be Robb Stark's head?
Is it gonna be Robb Stark's head? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but he wasn't, so it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, it's just a small thing from the books. They has more poetic meaning, but they're not referring to him as Robert Strong at all. They're calling
They did in season 5, though.
They did?
They introduced him as Robert Strong in season 5.
I did not know that.
If I remember correctly, I might be wrong.
Yeah, we should check that. But yeah, it's Sandor, not Sandor. Gregor, yes, Gregor Clegane. So this sequence with her, I mean, I'm not for violence, but then this episode had some revenge, and it felt good, I have to admit. So
yeah, and Cersei confessing.
Oh, this when she was closing the door and saying shame, shame. Cersei's not a good person, but you have to give her kudos this episode.
Yeah. Any thoughts on where her rule is going to go?
Well, it's not going to be a long rule. No, because first I want to mention also the whole CGI and the septal Baylor exploding, and especially this moment with the bell. It was glorious. Also, the other thing that I want to mention is this. Maybe I'm reading into it, but who knows? This, zealotry or fundamentalism, religious, not cool things. You see that how they're opposing, Marjorie's like, we need to leave, and they are not gonna budge for nothing. So there's a parallel between this and what's happening in real life.
Yeah.
Because we know that they won't budge, no matter, even if especially when there's common sense involved. So, yeah. As for, you asked me for I'm sorry, I lost my train of thoughts.
Any thoughts on Cersei's rule other than the fact that it's probably going to be about an episode and a half?
Yes. Well, as I said, it's not going to be a long rule, but I want to emphasize on something that they emphasized on in this particular episode, was that this thing, what she did with the wildfire and the whole planning and her plan and her agenda and executing everything and the ramification is actually what she's been doing throughout the whole books and the whole, seasons before. Is that she thinks that she has this really great plan and she does stuff, but then it backfires on her.
Yeah,
which is exactly what happened. So she was trying to protect Tommen, but
Tommen was in too deep, with, even if it's, there are so many different reasons that he could have made that jump. Is it because his mom just killed everybody and he's a king where he just lost thousands of citizens? Is it because he was a true believer in the faith and needed to go down with that ship? Is it because he lost his wife?
I think it's everything. I think we need to take into account that he's a young boy, and they played it in the show too. But in the books, you see it more that he's really truly genuinely nice person. He's not Joffrey. He's the opposite of Joffrey, and he likes cats, and he's just a child. So to put all these, weight on his shoulders, plus he's been being manipulated all the time by his mother, by his wife, by the council or everything, and
Moon Boy for all we know.
Yes, I'm sorry if I talk too much. The thing is that he was really trying to save everybody. In his mind, he thought he was right to choosing the fate. So seeing all that crumble down, I mean,
it wasn't a horrible political move, given the fact that the faith was there. And the faith was pretty much at a point where they couldn't be stopped, then taking the High Sparrow on as an advisor and basically being able to placate the faith a little, with the exception of unless he wanted Mom dead, with the exception of the getting rid of the trial by combat, there was a lot of potential for it to not be horrible.
Yes, yeah. In his mind, yes, we all know that giving power to religious zealots and putting arms in their hands is not good.
Yeah.
But in his mind, what was he supposed to do? And I see a lot of people blaming him. I mean, how can you blame a child? Come on, guys. It's also like with Ollie. Like, fuck Ollie, fuck them. It's not that, this show and especially the books are trying to make you look things from few perspectives. So if you still jump on the train, just, oh, fuck this, or I hate this, then you should reconsider your, points in life.
Yeah. But, plus there's the fact that he's not the one who armed the faith. That was all Mom's fault.
Exactly, Joniko. I agree with you completely. So it was her fault and he was just trying to, clean her mess in the best way that he thought. So.
And hopefully we're going to be looking back at this as Cersei did one thing right, because this is what's going to result in the rebirth of Azor Ahai, and Ser Pounce will be reborn in Salt and Smoke.
Oh, this is great. Okay. I haven't. Did you hear about the joke about the true meaning now of King's Landing?
No.
Because of Tom and Landon. It's really funny. You have to give credit to fandom. Fandom comes up with these memes and jokes. It's just glorious.
So pop over to Old Town then, or anything else you want to say on King's Landing?
We can say about the Pycelle and Qyburn. I've seen people moaning about, but it was Varys who did it, and, Kevin died a different way. It doesn't matter, In a way, Varys did kill, the little birds killed Pycelle, and then Kevin went down they just put him in a place where everybody's going to be dead, so, it was easier to not to include, get a few more seconds of the show, to lose time, so I think it was done well.
And it showed Cersei actually following through and doing pretty well on getting stuff done until, it blew up in her face.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say that Mace of Bates, I think we should give credit to him. He was a great, great actor. And I felt sorry, when he sees that, they're torturing his son. That was really sad. And also for Cersei, to go back to Cersei, yes, she did everything right, but, that's her problem. And I don't like when people call her not intelligent. She's intelligent, but her problem is that she's too arrogant or snobby, and she thinks that she's on top of her game, and she forgets the fact that other people are more intelligent than her. She
Right.
underestimates her opponents. So this is why she makes mistakes. But you know, like she's a smart woman. It's not my fault that she does bad things with, you know, using her intelligence to do bad stuff. But and now then you see this, you know, Jamie sinking, landing, burning. I mean, the Sept of Baelor, and then coming into the crowning of Cersei, and the way they look at each other. This is the beginning of the, you know, the fall. I should not use that term, but yeah, it's gonna be bad. People were complaining about, you know, Jamie's arc, and I said it's gonna, you know, they're just using different pacing than the books, and it's definitely gonna go down like in the books. So
Okay, so you think that it is Jamie who's going to be the Valonqar that
yeah,
takes her out?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about that from the first time I read the books. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's the younger. When they were born, she was the older twin.
The older twin.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't book readers, there's in season 4, the very beginning of season 4, Cersei has a flashback to seeing a old head witch that gives her a prophecy that her husband's going to have a bunch of bastards. She's only going to have 3 kids, and she'll outlive them all. And not in the show is the follow-up to that prophecy that she'll outlive them all. Gold will be their crowns. Gold will be their shrouds. And then the follow-up to that is, and you'll be killed by the Valonqar, which is Valyrian for the little brother. And she always thought it was Tyrion.
Yeah, she always thought that was Tyrion. And was it the season 5 or 4?
It was season 4, I believe. Maybe it was season 5.
First episode, the first thing we've seen in season 5, I think. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was one or the other.
Yeah. Yes, and in this episode particular, you see that Tommen, when he's putting the crown on his head, and you know he's wearing a crown, the golden crown, and he has a golden suit. So yeah, the shroud.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a foreshadowing of his imminent death. Also for the Valonqar prophecy. The problem, the why I think it's Jamie, because it said he's gonna choke the life out of you, the Valonqar.
Right.
So you know Jamie's hand. I mean, it plays out perfectly and poetically. They came to this world together. I think they're gonna leave the world together.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you think he's gonna die then as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Cool.
Unfortunately, yes.
There are a lot of Jamie Brienne shippers who are going to be really mad to hear that, and a lot of Tormund Brienne shippers who are going to be really happy.
I love Brienne and Tormund. I never saw this coming, you know, from the way they thought of it. I think it's brilliant. I mean, Jamie and Brienne, they have this connection, obviously, but it's more platonic. I mean, you know, he did like her in the bath scene, and she likes her guys really pretty. But it's more a deeper connection than just, you know, carnal, you know, lustful.
Yeah.
So and I think
whereas Tormund wants to eat Brienne like a pork chop.
Yes, and it's glorious to watch. And I just wanted to say too that in the prophecy, the Maggie, the prophecy, is also prophesied. I should not. How many times should I say prophesied?
New drinking game. Every time Niko says prophecy, you drink.
Yes. It was said that blah 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 blah, and then until the younger you will be the queen until the younger, more beautiful comes and takes all that you hold dear. So a lot of people think it's the younger, more beautiful queen, but it's never said the queen. It's just said younger, more beautiful. So that's why I think it's Brienne, actually, because Brienne is referred to in the books many times as Brienne the Beauty. I have a video on Azor Ahai if you want to check it out on my channel.
I've not heard that the younger, more beautiful one is Brienne before. I like that a lot.
Thank you. You should check my video. It's short. It's really cool.
That's in your Azor Ahai video?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, I'll link to that in the show notes as well, so people can check it out as they're listening. So, and on to Old Town then.
Sure.
First sight of Old Town. What did you think?
Wow. I had a few wow moments. I loved the small bits that they put, like Easter eggs. The first thing I saw in the scene when well, first you see the town, right? Mm-hmm. And it looked really pretty, as it should be. It's a magnificent city in the southwest of Westeros. And it has this tower, and the maesters are there. And then the Easter egg that I saw was when Sam was in this admission hall, or whatever, lobby, this planetos, like a celestial astrolabe or something. I don't know if you've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
It was standing next to the table, and then in the library, of course, I had a bookgasm.
I didn't see the Astrolab, but the books were amazing. The build of the library was amazing, and the lighting implements. If you haven't seen this, it's been on Reddit a lot. But if you guys aren't as nerdy as we are with it, the lighting implements where they've got the magnifying glasses that are shining light throughout the huge library, the bronze rings that they're built out on are what we see in the opening credits.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to as the
Astrolab.
Astrolab.
that Astrolab. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a really, it was thought and done well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kudos to show creators for doing it. So yeah, I've seen people, theorizing though, is it flatland? Or of course, if it's a planet, it has to be round.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an astrophysicist, I know this thing.
Do you think that they had this scene in the library planned out when they were thinking on the credits, or do you think it was just why don't we do it this way?
I don't know. It's really hard. At this point, it's hard to predict what do they know from George, because sometimes they reveal that it's going to happen in the books, the big things, but they don't talk about these small details.
Right.
So, I mean, whatever they got from George, I think their imagination has to be given credit to.
Yes.
Did you like the library?
Oh my God, it was gorgeous. This episode and last episode were the first times I can think of watching the show that I wish I had a bigger TV.
Good point. I was thinking about the same thing.
Between this and the Battle of the Bastards, it was just gloriously. The cinematography was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing the flocks of white ravens flying out of Old Town to show us exactly where we are.
Yes. I mentioned, because I filmed myself watching the show the first time, like a reaction video. So I immediately noticed how fluid the whole episode was. So the transitions between the scenes were perfect.
I feel like this whole season have done that really well.
Yes.
I think it's partly because they've been longer scenes. They've had a little bit more control over the pacing, since now they're on their own, working from their own outline.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I don't like. I'm gonna talk about this again, but they don't have any written material, so what they're doing with it is pretty epic. I mean, and this season is without a doubt better than any other season in my mind. I mean, yes, the first season was great, but it was on a much smaller scale compared to what we have now.
I've talked about this on the podcast before, but when I first watched season 1, I didn't get through, I think, episode 6 or 7 until my 4th or 5th try, because it was following the plot line of the book so closely, and I just reread everything because Dance with Dragons had just come out. And so it wasn't engaging to me because it felt like everything was happening step by step by step by step, and it wasn't until season 2 when they started varying more that I really got engaged with the show as its own work.
Yes, I agree. That's a very good point, Johnny. Yes, I don't understand people who want it to be the perfect, thing as the books are. Not the perfect thing. I'm not saying the books are perfect. Don't get me wrong, but word for word.
They want it to be a perfect analog for.
Yeah, it's not. It's ridiculous to think about these things. So yeah, I love that they have artistic freedom to do things, and why complain when you have story told in 2 different ways, guys? Come on. It's just a plus. It cannot be a minus.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Rickon dying at the Battle of the Bastards in the books.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Instead, he's going to end up a total cannibal and ride in and save the day on his unicorn.
Yeah. And I wanted to say something before, because I really couldn't be able to be on this great show before. But to me, this season, the best thing they did, not the season, but in every season so far, the best thing they did to me was, not to me, but in my eyes, was the troop in Bravos. Those sequences.
Was what?
The troop in Bravos, the actors.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think I appreciate it. I have, little knowledge about how theater works, but as you know, Niko, you know much, much more than, average reader, because you were employed for so many years. I think we need to hear your opinion on that.
I've talked about it a little bit before, but I think that it was brilliantly done in the style. To go really, really in depth really quickly, they used a style of theater that was common at the time, that was based on the Italian commedia dell'arte, which was improvising with certain known characters that you're always going to have, maybe in this example, the farting guy, and you're going to have the evil dwarf, and you're working with broad archetypes to tell a morality story in commedia. And there's a French version that it's more closely to, but that's going way too deep. But they used those tropes so incredibly well to not just tell a history of things that we as viewers have seen before, but to retell it in the way that it is, that the small folk believe it. The small folk believe that Joffrey was a hero king, or at least the small folk in Bravos do, that was brought short by a greedy imp and a know-nothing Scotsman.
Yeah, I would like to, for you, I mean, it's just an idea, but I would like if you would ever make a special episode about the troupe in Bravos and the acting, because you are so well in theater. I would love to listen.
That would be fun.
Yeah, please do that.
Yeah.
Please.
Alexandra and I actually met in grade school when we were doing theater together. So, and we were the only ones nerding out about Star Trek. So, the theater background on this show is strong. I mentioned this in a post on Reddit, but I would love for them to get the same troupe or a similar troupe and do a history of Westeros as a web series.
Oh, that's a great idea.
See the Battle of the Trident, or see Robert's Rebellion, or see the Blackfire Rebellion, just performed on stages like that.
Yeah. Blackwater, Battle of Blackwater is really also...
Oh, yeah.
It's more recent, but yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear your input, because, I see it with an amateur eyes. Mm-hmm. So to hear, some history and learn a lot of things which we can learn from you, definitely, I would be pleased. So.
Oh, yeah. I will endeavor to make that happen.
Thank you so much. Sorry, guys, for, digressing, but this show is so big that we can talk about this for ages.
Yep.
And it's still going to be fun.
Yep. So, anything else on Old Town?
Yeah, I mean, I love, because people say that we did not get cliffhangers, and we definitely got cliffhangers, mm-hmm. but they were not so obvious. So for book readers, because we know that what things happen in Old Town with Morrowind the Mage and mm-hmm. all the Faceless Men, shenanigans, especially with the Maesters, I think they just, dipped their toe in the whole crazy thing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Sir Elephant. For show watchers, this is Oberyn's daughter. He has 8 daughters. One daughter is dressed as a boy, pretending to be a boy, and she's earning her maester chains as a pupil in Old Town. So, Alaras, that's her.
Yeah, she's got an amazing code name of her own name backwards.
Yeah.
I I'm not sure that we're going to see much of Old Town. I think that we'll see a lot more of it in the books than we will in season 7 of the show. I'm kind of leaning towards they're going to reject Sam, and he's just going to have found the right bit of knowledge while he was sitting in the library as a waiting room. He'll just have happened to pick up a magazine that says, "Oh, here's how you make Valyrian steel," or "Oh, this is why dragon glass works, and here's how you can get more of it."
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, in the books, there's no limit to paper, so Martin can write whatever and how much he wants. But as for the show, they did say, few more episodes and it's done. Although I'm not sure it's just gonna be 2 episodes because it's the most successful TV show of all times and they're earning money, so probably HBO wants to.
They're cutting the length of the season down for next season. It's going to be 7 or 8 episodes rather than
but we have 10. To see. It's not cast in stone. You can change, because I think the only ones who don't want to do it are David and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they get such bad rep for now no good goddamn reason. Because they're doing a good job. But, if I was them and if I was, doing my life's work and somebody was, Can I curse on the show?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, if somebody's shitting all over their work, they would just be like, "Oh, fuck you guys, we're gonna wrap it up and that's it." So I understand them. So I think that the only ones who want to wrap it up are David and Dan. Everybody else, of course, want to work on the show as long as possible.
I think that HBO has their reasons both to obviously keep it going in that it's a huge money maker, but also to not have it drag on like network sci-fi serial shows like Lost or Heroes did, where the entire show gets a bad rap because they were treading water for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, you make good points. I personally would like it to end as soon as possible because I want this story to, to have an ending. Because I'm not sure we're gonna get it with George.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, rage many people, but I don't think he's gonna finish it. No way.
I still have my hopes. There are rumors that he met with his editors last week because he was somebody saw him in New York or he tweeted that he was going to New York or something along those lines. So I've got my hopes that we're going to see Wind of Winter. Well, I had my hopes that we were going to see Wind of Winter before season 5. So
yeah. No, so Winds of Winter we're gonna get, no doubt. But as for Dream of Spring, I'm not sure.
I'm going to be the eternal optimist.
Okay. I'm just being realistic. I'm
mean, I'm not going to go political here. I was going to make a Donald Trump joke, but we are an equal opportunity podcast, so not going to make any jokes about the world ending. Let's...
So what did we say about Old Town? Yes, I agree with you. Probably, if we're gonna get 2 more seasons, short, not 20 episodes, but maybe 15 or something.
Yeah.
Definitely, Sam is just gonna find what he needs to find. Maybe we're gonna get a nod to book readers.
Where he'll meet Maester Marwyn and see the black candle.
Exactly. Maybe glass candles that I think are some kind of light bulbs, or the plane's not moving, so yeah, flickering. And that's it. He's gonna find what he needs to find, either being Valyrian steel or how to kill dragons or something along those lines, and he's gonna go back north.
Or how to hatch dragons.
Exactly.
Although the Maesters are really more anti-dragon than pro-dragon.
That is true. They are anti-magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the exception of Marwyn.
Yeah, Marwyn. Marwyn is cool. And some other guys from the past, like Septim. Oh, he was not a maester, but he was a Septim Bard, and he was into magic. And so, we're digressing all the time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's what this show is about. So we can head up north to Winterfell now, and first full day under Stark rule, and we haven't quite decided which Stark is ruling yet.
Yes,
we've got Sansa and Jansa. I'm sorry, Sansa and John. Or can we just start calling him Daenerys now?
Generis?
Yeah.
I would call him Eamon. I think his name was Eamon.
You think his name was Aemon?
Yeah, I think so. Because Rhaegar, in my Maester Aemon,
Mm-hmm.
and Rhaegar was it was his great something. The lineages with Targaryens, it gets confusing because of all the incest.
Yep.
But also there was,
He was
at the beginning.
Great uncle grandpa.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think it's Aemon because people, I think Radio Westeros said in the first season or first book, Robb and Jon are fighting, and they're like, "Oh, we are this Targaryen, this Targaryen," which were actually, and one is Aemon, I think, which is Jon, and they were actually not brothers, but they were cousins. So that is why they think it's not foreshadowing, but it's a hint.
Yeah.
His name is Aemon.
That does make a lot of sense because he wouldn't really name him Rhaegar Jr. That's not a thing.
Or Jon.
Unless you're Walder Frey.
That's amazing.
I enjoyed the Jon and Sansa scenes, and I even more than the Jon and Sansa scenes, I enjoyed the Twitter aftermath of the Jon and Sansa scenes and the Jansa 2K17 because they're only cousins now. Shippers, but for me,
I'm sorry. We have to stop now because Italians are riding mopeds.
For me, the best moment in Winterfell was Davos and Melisandre and Jon.
I cannot agree more.
That was...
I started crying.
Oh, it was... The way that she, in a way, legitimately defended herself was, yes, I killed a little girl, but it was her mother and father that walked her to me. Was... Ugh.
Yeah. This is what you get from, people who won't budge, as I said. But because she truly believes in that. Oh, she believed in that, but now she's not so sure. When it actually happened, something happened.
There's an argument to say that it worked, though. Because they were fighting pretty damn close to where Shireen was burned, and maybe they burned her for the wrong battle, but Melisandre could make the argument that it all worked out in the end, which is gross.
That's a fair point. I mean, only that can play for life. But if you take into account that Beric was brought back so many times without anybody, being killed for him, so who knows? Who knows? But what I wanted to say is Davos, this actor, Liam Cunningham, his acting was amazing, and I think he should get a reward too, because I think also it has to do something with, how you react when I watched the scene with Shireen burning. Of course I was sad, but I didn't cry. But now watching him talking about that, I cried. Yeah. And it's also that's why I love watching reaction videos, because watching somebody actually relive it or feel it, this is what I'm gonna say get off on or something. I don't know, it's crazy. I think it has to do with human psychology or something, but his acting was that was so great.
He's been all season just totally on top of it. He's always been good this season. His writing and his performance, Liam Cunningham's performances, have just been incredible.
I agree.
He hasn't done much, but everything he did was yeah, exactly. His scene with Tormund last week, his coming from behind to bring in Lyanna Mormont the week before.
Yes.
Davos has been the MVP of the North.
Yes, and this, when he said, this girl that I love like she was my own, the way his voice, voice acting was so powerful. And the relationship between Shireen and Davos was one of the purest in the show and in the books. Because it was pure, love and respect of other human being with no prejudice or anything. It was just true friendship.
Right.
And he was not creepy, although it's the old guy and the little girl, you know.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, this
it was pure.
yes, and this is why it hurts so bad.
Hmm.
So this guy should get a reward for, you know, like supporting acting or some
Yeah,
actor.
there's so many people to be nominated that we'll see we'll see who gets it, and if it's somebody from this show. Um, in a slightly less pure relationship moment, Littlefinger was totally honest with Sansa for the first time.
That was a big reveal, right?
Hmm.
That was a really, really big reveal. I mean, him saying what he actually wants, because we were speculating, oh, what's his plan? What does he want? He wants to be the king of ashes, yeah, where is
Hmm.
that? But you know, what is this, you know, setup? Of course, this is just, you know, saying, but what, you know, actually means. And when he said he wants to be on the Iron Throne with Sansa, that's so wrong
Yeah.
in so many levels.
Um,
I don't know if you noticed something. I noticed in the show when I was watching, and I haven't heard anybody say that. In the scene with Davos, Mel, and John in the dining room or whatever, this
mhm.
whole
In the
interval,
feast hall.
exactly. John says, "Oh, you see, they were all dining here, but I would sit in the back."
Hmm. The family would sit up here, and I would sit back here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was a bastard. Then we skip to Littlefinger scene and the King in the North, you know?
Hmm.
And Littlefinger is back where John
Ooh,
is.
good
You didn't
point.
catch that? Nobody caught that but Niko. So there you go. Niko jams here. Yeah, I think they did it on purpose.
um, I should probably rephrase the note that I'm writing down right now, which is Littlefinger in the back. Um,
Yeah.
or maybe I just know the name of this episode. Um,
Yeah.
um, uh, so what's Sansa's? So we've got that, and then we're immediately followed by King of the North version 2, um, the White Wolf, uh, um, which is kind of undermining Sansa in a way. Sansa spurns Littlefinger, but then immediately gets spurned by her vassals. Uh, do you think there's a temptation there?
Oh yes, oh yes, they did it on purpose. I mean, you can see it on her face and the whole setup because yes, she's happy for John, not for John. She's happy that she's back in Winterfell. She's safe now,
Hmm.
and she says that she knows how Littlefinger is manipulator, master manipulator, and he's a bad person, whatever. But she definitely is thinking about, oh, why they chose John and not
Hmm.
me, you know?
Yeah.
And Littlefinger putting bug in her ear all the time. And I think that's also a cliffhanger, not a big one, but
Hmm.
also, you know, just a small one that there's gonna be a crack between John and Sansa in the
I,
next season.
I I think you're probably right. I think that if I was writing everything, it'd be a much more boring show because I would avoid that conflict and say, "Oh, well, the Dreadfort's empty. That's where the King of the North can live now." And Sansa keeps Winterfell, and King of the North lives in the Dreadfort where there's no more Boltons and everybody's happy. Um, but that would be a much more boring show. So hopefully they won't go that route.
Yeah, they won't go there. I mean, if you look at John's arc in general in the books, in the saga, you see that wherever he went, he was elected or, you know, he was the leader. So, and
Hmm.
he's going south, definitely. He's going to go south or, you know, he's going to fight. So I think the big battle is going to be at Harrenhal or something, you know, in the center of
Uh-huh.
Westeros. So, um, I think that, you know, King in the North title is just one of the titles that he's gonna have because he's gonna have more
Yeah,
titles.
he's going to be Jon Snow, the White Wolf, reborn, King of the
Exactly.
North,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
Lord Commander, well, former Lord Commander, Lord
Yeah.
Commander Emeritus, first ever Lord Commander Emeritus of the Night's Watch.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, but definitely the cracks in the Stark family because why not? They've been, you know, the most honest, righteous, nice family so far. So why have such a perfect family? Why not put the conflict there?
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, John knows that Bran's alive. Sansa knows Bran's alive, so he's stepping into the territory.
Yeah, and Bran's going to be potentially on the other side of the wall really soon, which could bode ill if Bran's mark from the Night King is what brings down the wall.
That's true. That is true.
What were your thoughts? Anything else on Winterfell, or can we pop even more?
I have more. I'm known to. I don't know if you want shorter version.
Oh, no.
Okay, so there are so many things to talk about. I mean, the whole episode was so epic, but there are things we need to question. How come everybody is satisfied with Jon being there, but they don't know about the whole shenanigans at the wall and that he was killed, and how, he's a deserter in their eyes. So they should explain it better, maybe.
Yeah, but, because it's unlikely that they heard about it from the wildlings, and the wildlings are the only ones who could tell.
Yeah, and why trust wildlings? They've been hating them for centuries. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's a little bit. Also, we got this explanation of why Sansa chose not to tell Jon about the Littlefinger and Knights of the Whale help.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay, but not completely satisfying explanation. At least she said sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I understood why she didn't from a pragmatic standpoint, even if I was upset at Sansa as a person, but not as a character. If that I didn't think it was a bad character choice. I thought it was a bad choice by a character.
Exactly, Mike. Yes, that you put it extremely well. I agree with you. Yes, I'm really mad, and well, I'm not a big Sansa fan anyway, so I have a problem with characters like, making those, but it's of course it's fun for her to put it that way, so she won't say, and she's not trusting anybody or whatever, but I don't agree with her choices. It's bad. Also, we have to acknowledge the really cool joke about the winter is coming, right?
Yeah, the winter's here. Dad was right.
Correct. Winter is here, and it's our time. It's our time. Can we give kudos to Lyanna Mormont?
We can always give kudos to Lyanna Mormont. If we're going to give Lyanna Mormont the kudos she deserves, we're going to need to record a separate episode about Lyanna Mormont kudos.
To give her, because this speech, The North Remembers, was actually done by Wyman Manderley, right, in the books.
Yep.
But to give her this great honor, I think it was amazing. I know a lot of people are complaining, but, whatever.
I've not seen complaints about that.
Oh, well, you've been in the wrong side of fandom then.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear so many complaints about the show every day. That's why I said I'm in the trap of, I cannot enjoy the show anymore because, people get to ruin. I mean, it was my choice to do podcasts, but God damn it, sometimes, I'm just a regular fan.
I think because we're show first, we don't get quite as I don't see quite as much of it just because I'm not we're not a book podcast. We're a podcast about the show by people who've read the books. Yeah.
Well, I do both things, so I've been reading, I told you, books way before the show even started. Yeah. So sometimes I just want to watch the show for pure entertainment, and that's it. I don't want to judge anybody. I just want to be entertained for 1 hour, and then I want to do my business. But yeah, if I do podcasts, I should look at everything critically. Yes, Wyman Manderley did it, but who cares? It was done well at the show. I have no problems with Lyanna Mormont. She is amazing. She is really amazing, and when I grow up, I want to be Lyanna Mormont.
The actress's last name is Bolton, which I just found remarkably ironic.
That is so cool.
I think that one of the cool things about Wyman Manderley not being Manderley from the books is the fact that there's still a chance for the Great Northern Conspiracy to come to fruition in the books. There's still a chance for us to see at the Battle of the Bastards the Mormonts and the Manderleys and the Umbers be turncoats to the Boltons, and
you mean in the books?
In the books, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And come at them from behind as Jon's army is coming at them from the front, rather than, especially since we're not going to have Sansa at Winterfell, Littlefinger's not going to show up, or he's much less likely.
Yeah, Sansa is at the Whale. It's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be the same synchronization as in the. It's gonna be completely different.
Yeah. So instead, we're going to see Manderley being the one who made the Frey pies, and I think we're going to see the Great Northern Conspiracy in book verse is a real thing.
Yeah. Well, pies already happened, and the whole thing with Jon is not going to be played out by this. Also, some great speech, but I think that this Great Northern Conspiracy, which involves Robb Stark's will, is played out. So yeah.
That's one thing that I think. If I can pick on the show for one thing, it's not having in this episode. Not having Jon's will makes everyone immediately jumping behind him a little less believable when they'd already got crapped on by one bastard.
Yeah, that is true, but we may have to ask ourselves, would Northerners care about the paper, or when you see somebody in the battlefield and how they act?
I really feel like a purely... we're naming our king based solely on his battle prowess and not following the true line of succession is a much more ironborn way to go than the way I feel the Northerners would go.
Well, it's really up for debate because you make some great points, but he's a Stark and he's a great warrior or leader. He cares about his people. They have no other choice. I mean, they would probably... That also plays at the bigger themes in the show and in the books. Would you rather choose the bastard or a woman? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
A big question.
And that's... I don't know. I guess I just have an idealized view of the Northerners, and Sansa hasn't done anything to make them not. Well, Sansa's not done anything to push them away and drive them to the bastard.
That is true.
Anything else on the North other than the fact that we really just want to see Lyanna queen of everything?
Yes. I wanted to excuse me. I wanted to ask your opinion on the wolf, the young wolf, and now the white wolf. How do you like?
Well, I tweeted a picture of my dog Tad Cooper cuddled up with his dragon Stuffy at the end of the episode because he was predicting Jon's parentage before, apparently long enough in advance. I like the White Wolf idea. I want to know where the hell Snow or Ghost is right now, but it works for me.
I saw your picture on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And your dog, Cooper, right?
Tad Cooper. Named after the dragon from Gallivant. Jeremy Hall's show.
Every time somebody says Cooper, I always think about Twin Peaks. Because that's one of my favorite shows. It's not Game of Thrones, imagine that.
A friend of mine have talked about how he and I should just do a podcast on Twin Peaks, but do a full season of podcasts on every episode of Twin Peaks.
Oh yes, that would be glorious.
I
would do that. I would also Twin Peaks and Riet, which is Lars von Trier's show. Those are my favorite shows in the world.
What's the other one?
Riet, which means the kingdom.
Okay.
It's Danish. It's the only TV show Lars von Trier ever made.
Wasn't there a
Stephen King one?
There was a UK. The Stephen King one? Kingdom Hospital was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was done, like an homage to or whatever. But I never watched it because I don't like him.
Oh, I watched. I don't know if I finished it, but I watched the beginning of it. I remember.
You should watch Riet.
I will.
Wow. It's wow. So anyway, The White Wolf, I think it's fun. I think it's okay. It doesn't sound it's foreshadowing. We know what happened to Rob.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
One reason I do like it is it's a nice little homage, not just to Rob and to Ned, but also to the Blackfire Rebellion, and where the bastards would take their sigil and reverse it. So the Blackfires had Black Dragon on a red field, and so in theory we could have White Wolf on a black field for House Snow.
Grey
Wolf on.
Yeah. Yes. As for Ghost, I don't mind. Every sane person is not gonna get a dire wolf in a big battle, so I don't have problems with that. If somebody can convince me otherwise, I will stand corrected.
They spent all that money on 1/1.
Yeah, true. Also, I wanted to say that something that I noticed in the episode was when Sansa and Jon were having this small conversation at the tower or something, I don't know, the walls of Winterfell, when the snow was falling, and he hugged her and said, "Don't worry," something like that. "We need to stay strong." Oh, I should have checked it before. Anyway, it was the same scene as Ned was hugging Sansa before all the shit went down in King's Landing. It was the same words. Yes.
That's a good catch. That one I didn't. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you. I know I have everything that from one watching, so yeah, it's my job actually to notice these things. It's crazy. So I'm done with Winterfell.
Okay. So pop up to Bran really quick, and Uncle Benjen's sad farewell speech. Basically, peace out. I'm gonna go kill some dead things because that's pretty much all I'm good for. What were your thoughts on Cold Hands as Benjen?
I think it was perfect choice.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see the follow through in the books as well, or do you think unrelated?
It's gonna be different.
You
but who knows? Yeah. It might be different because, as I said, George Martin has, opportunity. He's just writing stuff, and there's no limit to how much he can write.
Right.
Although even publishers allow him to, publish this.
Allow him to split a book in half.
Exactly. Because
it's too big for binding.
Yeah, in Serbia, all the books, apart from first two, are done in 2 tones.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I'm going to when I go back to Serbia, I'm going to make a short video on, just show the books in Serbia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And even they have the subtitles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not Game of Thrones 1, but Clash of Kings 1.
Yes.
And Clash of
the Storm of Swords, the Clash of Kings, the Dance with Dragons, and the other one, what's it called?
Feast for Crows.
Feast for Crows, yeah. They all have...
They're all split in 2 with subtitles. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah.
And they split them down the middle, right? They didn't split them...
Well, I have to check it. And I also contacted the publisher in Serbia. And I got a reply from them even last year, but I wanted to do the video, but as I move along Europe all the time, so I didn't have time to do the video.
Yeah, and carry 12 books with you.
Yeah, exactly. So the publisher answered all my questions, so I have the official, why they chose the subtitles and how and whatever.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So
they allow him to do so, to Martin, so they don't even cut down anything in the books. They don't edit it.
Oh, well, they do. They absolutely edit it, but I think they give him more leeway. Like Stephen King, they give him more leeway for length. But there's absolutely editing going on. Because very few authors would allow their books to go out without an outside eye.
Yeah, that is true. So who Cold Hands is in the books, I have a theory on that. I have a short video, but who the hell knows? But to choose this in the show, it was a perfect thing. Okay.
I agree. I was surprised a little bit when I saw his face, just because I had ruled out Cold Hands being Benjen for so long. in the show, in the books, that I didn't think that we'd see, that was what we were going to see. So it was one of the beautiful parts about the show surpassing the books is being able to be legitimately surprised by things, and that was one of the things that legitimately surprised me.
I agree with you.
I had a...
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Being a book reader, you know so many theories, you spend so much time reading or writing or thinking about that, and then when now we don't have material to base our predictions on, it's glorious to be surprised, to have this thrill as the show watchers.
Exactly.
So, it's cool.
I had a little bit of an ominous feeling, though. I guess it goes back to me thinking that Bran's going to accidentally bring the wall down when he crosses through it, or break those magical wards. I had an ominous feeling that Benjen wasn't being honest, and that this is just a what if. What if Benjen is working for the Night's King, and is not a child of the forest tool, but is a Night's King tool?
That's an interesting thing. I never thought about it.
I don't...
Like double agent.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's as he's talking about the fact that he can never cross because of the magical wards. I feel like that's the first time we've heard about those wards in the show. Cold Hands talks about them in the books, but
in the show, in the books, they're also, I think it's in the chapter, one of my favorite chapters. It's when Bran and Hodor, Mira, Jojen, and Rickon. No, Rickon's not there. Maybe he's not there.
No, they don't go under the wall.
When they go into the Night Fort.
Yes. When they tell the story of the Rat King.
Yes, and all the other stories, so many horror stories that are connected to the Night Fort, and it's the same sequence when they meet Sam and Gilly coming from the well.
Yep.
It's a short chapter, but it has so much information, it's crazy. So I think they mention about the magic in the wall.
Yeah, that's when we hear about the magic in the wall and the talking door.
Yes.
Where they have to speak their words.
That is true. I also have a theory on the wall. What is it made of? So I made a video on it. So I agree with you. I mean, it's fun to ponder these things. I mean, this is why we make podcasts, right?
Yep,
because it's
exactly.
Yeah. Why not? I like your idea. I actually never thought about it. I have to be honest.
I didn't think about it until the scene. Until that scene, and I'd been thinking about Bran bringing down the wall, and I'd been thinking about that since Hold the Door, or since the door, and now I'm sad. But so it was just the first thing that popped in my head was what if Cold Hands Ben Hands is only making sure that Bran makes it to the wall so that Bran can take it down?
Yeah, well, they're all family, right?
Yep.
Even Night's King. Well, I think it's Stark. Yeah, at least in the books he's the Stark.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. But that can't be the Night King. The Night King from the show can't be the Night King from the books, because the others predate the Night King that is the Lord Commander of the Watch, or else why would they have the wall?
No.
No?
In the books. What did you say, in the show or in the books?
In the books, isn't the Night King a Lord Commander of the Night's Watch that marries another?
The 13th Lord Commander.
Yeah. So why would they have the wall?
Well, yeah, the others but
I guess if the Night King is also the first other, which I guess doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay. Yeah. We will see.
I guess I was stuck in my brain that it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Well,
they chose to do it this way because even though Martin really is trying to have all the characters in the gray area so they're not completely evil, or everybody has explanation for the things they're doing. In the show, they are pushing the big hero versus big villain, and that is Ron versus Night's King. I think it's Yeah.
And potentially Danny versus the Night King.
Or Danny versus John.
Or Danny versus John. Or John and Danny versus the Night King
Yeah,
as married cousins.
Yeah, I've noticed this season, and I said it on the Small Council, that you see this in the one episode where Danny is mounting the Drogon, and she has this speech she's speaking to the Trekkie, and she's like, "You have to fight for me, you know, kill my enemies, whatever." And then in the next episode, you have John talking or discussing why would wildlings fight for him. So he's explaining to them, and they're all, it's more like a democracy, but with Danny's complete autocracy, or, I cannot pronounce
authoritarianism.
it. Yes, exactly. It's really hard for me to pronounce it well. So yeah, I think they are playing on that in the show, most definitely.
And then, of course, we got R plus L equals J was confirmed, which, no surprise.
Yes.
But nice to see nonetheless. I don't really have much to say on that scene because it was, other than the fact that they didn't give baby John, Daenerys, curly black hair, which I kind of expected. They left enough unsaid that for show watchers only, I think we're still missing. I think that there's still a missing piece in the show of this isn't just Rhaegar and Lyanna's child, but this is Rhaegar and Lyanna's child of love.
Yeah, they are leaving that, and I understand their choice. Why didn't you just, said, explain it better?
Yeah,
because
it's my baby, and I love his daddy.
Yeah, his daddy Rhaegar Targaryen, who I wed legally. Yeah. So, it would be. Yeah, it would be.
Promise
stupid.
me, Ned. Also, promise me you'll take this wedding certificate with you.
Yes, exactly. No, I think that you should take into account that we have 1 year to wait, and they wanted to create buzz. So this is going to create so much, podcasts and articles in the magazine. So why not do it this way? It's great.
I thought there was a chance we'd see him. We'd see the arrival at King's Landing as well. I'm sorry, the arrival at Winterfell as well. Because how tricky would it have been for them to have recast Michelle Farley and as Catelyn, and have everybody thinking it was Lady Stoneheart, but it was a flashback to, and they de-aged her with CGI so that they could just have her in the flashback.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say something else. This thing that we got in the show was, it was a small sequence in Ned's fever dream and when he was in the black cells. So, we did not get more than we got in the books.
No.
In fact, we got more than we got in the books because we saw it.
We saw it.
Yeah. But also, in this episode, I love the transition from the baby's face to John.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if anybody noticed that Lyanna Mormont, namely Lyanna, her name is Lyanna,
right.
She's the one who proclaimed the king.
Oh, good touch.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good catch.
So it was a really good choice for Lyanna to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the reason why they chose her and not
Manderley.
Exactly.
Well, that and simply the fact that Manderley is new to us in the show. And we could have a character that I'm sure they knew that everyone was going to love.
Yes.
If they didn't know that Lyanna Mormont would be the big hit of the season, they were... I can't understand them not predicting that. So, so...
Did you wonder, like, when I was watching this Tower of Joy Part 2 sequence in this episode, I knew what was going to happen, obviously, but what I was trying to figure out when I was watching the scene is, like, who's there beside Lyanna?
Right. Where's Howland Reed? Are we going to see that conversation next year of you can't tell anybody except for Jojen, maybe? And what
was there a maester there present?
I don't think there was a.
There should be, because only men are educated in this.
Right, but I think that there's not everyone would be born in a keep and have access to a maester. So,
but it was the prince Rhaegar Targaryen's.
It was the Prince Rhaegar Targaryen's baby, but if he
left 3 knights of the Kingsguard there, and
then why didn't he leave a maester? Yeah.
Yeah, and there were 2 nursing women or whatever, like wet nurses. Mm-hmm. Of course, you need a maester because he's like the doctor, or
yeah. Well, you're right. I hadn't thought about the fact that Rhaegar probably wouldn't just leave a midwife.
Of course.
Yeah.
But we are not wondering about the medical healthcare system in Westeros at that time.
Well, maybe the fact that he couldn't get a maester there fast enough is why she didn't make it through.
Well, they were there for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
The whole Robert's Rebellion was happening, for more than 9 months, obviously.
Yeah.
So why we are pondering this, if your listeners are wondering, it's not because, as I said, of the healthcare system in Westeros, but because who was a witness there to witness the event?
And is there somebody at the Citadel in that big book that we saw the Maester perusing? Is there also a Rhaegar had a kid with a Stark? Maybe Sam's going to bring that back to Jon.
Well, no, I think Bran is going to tell him or something.
Uh-huh.
We also have Littlefinger, who definitely knows about Rhaegar Lyanna.
Definitely.
Not for a fact, but he's smart enough to, connect 2 and 2.
Yeah. But he has absolutely no reason to tell anybody about it.
Exactly.
Because that just hurts his life goals.
Well, before he revealed his plan to Sansa, he had no intention of saying that, but now maybe he will use it against Jon somehow.
Uh-huh.
We never know. We will see it next season.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about the Maester aspect. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there has to be a Maester.
Yep.
In my mind, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
If there's not, there has to be a reason.
Yeah.
So, let's pop on down to the twins and a couple glorious moments. I actually really enjoyed Walder Frey in this episode, which is hard to say. But Walder Frey was at his best from his opening toast of let's speak the words of our alliance. The Lannisters and the Freys send their regards. To him sitting down with Jaime and saying, "Yes, I'm an absolute chicken shit," and that's okay. Like he wasn't overtly flustered by Jaime calling him out for being the late Lord Frey.
Well, yes, not at first. At first, he had what he's aspiring, and his whole family is like to be equal.
Mm-hmm.
But they're so wrong, and it's just bad seed, I guess.
Yeah.
And bad upbringing, and I'm sorry, Italians are yelling here. So at first he was so proud and was like, yeah, we and Lannisters are buddies now. But Jaime pointed out to him that everybody disgusted by Freys. About what they did and how they chose to get the river run and the whole area.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed it, but I said I have a problem with Walder Frey. I love the actor; he is doing a great job.
Oh yes, doing.
Yes, good point. But the thing that's bothering me the most was not his slapping asses on young women, which is creepy and disgusting.
Mm-hmm. But
it's
par for the course.
Yeah, the whole season, every time we saw him, even in previous episodes, he is acting like he's always chewing something, and it's so disgusting, right? This was
Yeah.
so, I could not, and even in these scenes when he got served a pie, he was also, like eating, and it was, gross, gross.
Hmm.
So yeah, did you know that it was Arya Stark from the beginning?
From the moment he asked the minute he asked where Lothar was and where Blackwalder was, I knew what was coming. But I didn't catch it. I didn't catch on in the Jamie Braun scene,
Oh.
and I didn't catch on when he said "not one of mine." It wasn't until he asked where everybody was.
Yeah, well, I don't want to sound arrogant or something. If you think that I'm arrogant, just tell me or something. But I'm gonna say because Maisie Williams and Sansa actress, they play this game like Two Truths and a Lie,
Uh-huh.
and Maisie pointed out that she's in the trailer, but you don't know it's her. So we were expecting. I was.
Okay. I didn't see that.
So yeah, so I knew it was coming. So please, guys, if I say, "Oh, I knew it before you," it's not my point to to sound really cool, but it's just a fact.
That you
And
are, in fact, really cool.
yeah, so I'm gonna point out to the first segment of the Tau or the twins sequence is when Jamie and this guy Walder Frey are talking, and Walder Frey is like, "Where are Starks now?" And
Hmm.
in this moment when he says, "Where are Starks now?"
She's in the
this
shot.
girl, this girl is in the shot.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
I immediately knew that that was Arya.
I did catch on my rewatch, and I made a point to listen for it on my rewatch, that she did say "my lord" Matt rather than "my lord" when she spoke to him.
Oh, good catch. I did not catch that.
Yeah, that was which was an awesome character choice, and the actress that they chose to play Arya in disguise got the vocals, got her Maisie Williams vocal patterns down perfectly.
Oh,
It
I
was
will pay attention on my second viewing.
Yeah, it was really neat. Um, and I expected the Starks send their regards, and I'm kind of glad they didn't go that cheesy with it.
Yeah, because she would not be able to know this, right?
Well, um, she would know it from being in the room an
Yeah,
hour
she could pick it up.
previously.
Yeah,
Um,
she could pick it out.
but other than that, yeah, evil.
I love that they're emphasizing on her that she knows who she is. I mean, Arya
Mhm.
and the Stark identity.
Yep.
She's so stern now, and I love that.
So other than Cersei, who's left on our list? The
Uh,
Hound, maybe,
Meryn
because
Trant? No,
nope,
Meryn
she
Trant.
killed Meryn Trant.
Thoros of Myr, I think, no?
Is Thoros of Myr on our list? Are
Oh
Thoros and
my
Varric on our list? I don't think so.
Awesome. I'm gonna check
Yeah.
on Facebook. Oh, this girl that I said, Catherine Darkwing,
Hmm.
I'm just checking my fan page. She says her list is Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister, the Red Woman, Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, Elend Payne, the Mountain, the Hound.
Okay.
This is the list.
So she did add them to the list.
Yes.
Okay. Um. Okay. So I. So are we going to see more of Ninja Arya traipsing through Westeros, or is she going to make her way to Winterfell?
Oof, that's a really hard question. Is she gonna meet the Hound again?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Brotherhood without banners? It's hard to predict. I would have to think about it more, or maybe
Yeah,
for opinion once the casting news are out, or locations that where they're gonna film. But I also want to ask you about the Frey pies. Are you satisfied that she did it,
I am.
not Alma Mendeley?
Yep. I stood up and cheered. Um, a when the minute it was clear that he was eating a pie, that he was eating a pie alone, I stood up and cheered because that's been one of my favorite tinfoil theories.
Yeah,
Was the whole Frey pie.
yeah, and I've seen people also really complain and, jump on the hate train because, oh, it's different from the books, it's a theft or whatever. I don't care. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose. How can you get a free pie in the Gull Town when, well, not Gull Town, what's it called? The White
Twins.
Harbor. The
Oh,
White
White Harbor, yeah.
Yeah, because we never got this location, so it would.
Yeah.
I think the choice was done well, and especially because the Waldorf phrase, eating it, not other phrase, and the Red Cook, the
Mhm.
whole with the Red Cook, it plays great. And I didn't think that she would do it at first. I didn't think we would get the pie in the first place for real because it was hard to predict where
Yep.
would they put it. But the whole thing with the Red Cook now, I said many times that it's enough only to kill Walder Frey, and the rest of the Freys are gonna off themselves because they're so, who's gonna inherit the twins, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's the end of that line.
Yes.
Thanks.
All
They're
24 Frey sons. Alex's theory for next season is that we're going to see Arya in a Lady Stoneheart-esque role of sort of uniting the Brotherhood without banners back behind an actual cause.
I think that sounds plausible, and kudos to Alex for that.
It sounds plausible, but I'd forgotten that she had Beric and Thoros on her list. So,
well, the change in the leadership.
Yep, change in leadership, or she's changed her mind. She changed her mind on the Hound. So.
Yeah, well, she has to meet Mel again.
Yep.
Although I'm not
Who's
sure.
on the way south.
Yeah, well, exactly. Mel is on the way south. Although I'm not sure that yes, they're gonna meet, but I think Mel is gonna be on the Night King side.
Yeah, oh, really?
Oh yes, because I don't know if your viewers know, but you know that there are many figurines of for the show and for the characters, and there's somebody I'm not sure who, but they made a really cool figurine of Mel. She was all in red, and then George Martin specifically asked that person who made this to make a blue version of Mel for him.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yes.
Well then.
Yep. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So because even if you look at just the show, she is a servant, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like a whatever priestess.
She's a priestess of R'hllor.
Yes, but who is she serving now? She has nobody to serve, so she needs to find somebody to to be subordinate to. So who's gonna be that? Probably Night's King.
Yeah. Huh. I like that. I had not heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. But as for Arya, yeah, they're gonna meet, and we need to find the damn Gendry one day. I have a
Gendry Gendry is going to land. Maybe there's an after credit scene that just none of us noticed, and it's Gendry landing in Marine 20 minutes after Dany left.
Yeah, no, I have a theory how all the characters are moving so fast because people are complaining. Well, Gendry is so good at rowing, and he's charging a lot of money, and he's just transporting all this.
I love it.
Yeah, so this is it. You heard it from Niko.
Okay, so anything else on the twins or on Arya's path?
No, it was really. I loved acting by everybody. I even Braun's jokes. They were really funny, and Jamie. Well, I always like to look at Nikolai Coster.
I love whenever Jamie has left King's Landing because it means we can get Bronn back.
Yeah.
Since he can't be in a scene with Lena Headey. You know that story, those stories, right?
That she slept with.
Yeah, that they dated, and it was so bad that that years later, it's in her contract that she never has to be in the same room with him, or maybe it's the other way around.
That's so funny. What did they do? What happened? It's so juicy.
No idea, but it was like 10 years, 15 years before season 2 when he was cast, and there was still bad blood.
Oh, I thought it was recent.
Oh no, it was a couple decades ago when he was like fronting a rock band.
Oh damn!
Right?
Oh damn!
So, speaking of things that got colossally fucked up, let's go to Dorne. Um, and Olenna and Barbara having their little chat.
Barbara, that was such a great moment, right? Oh,
Barbara is my favorite sand snake.
yes, I agree. Is she the one with the best tits? Barbara's tits. Well, why do I have Barbara Streisand in my mind every time Barbara? Oh my god. I think this shows the greatness. Oh, I'm not gonna say. If I use that word, it's gonna be used against me. But I'm gonna say it anyway. The greatness of David and Dan and Brian Cogman,
Mhm.
this ability to laugh at themselves when they know they was the last season it was not done well, and now they're just laughing in at their own thing.
Yeah.
So
I want to know what Varys' first. Varys shows up at the water gardens, and it says, "Hey, I'm here to see Duran," and Duran's dead. So
he knew about that probably.
he probably knew about that, but the fact that he shows up there means that Duran got killed for being a do-nothing,
Yes.
no vengeance prince, who
Yes.
saying we're just going to let things go because otherwise this will all blow up in our face. And in the books, we know that he had a couple irons in the fire because he sends Quentin over to marry Daenerys because they'd made that arrangement before she was born.
Yes.
And
Arianne was promised to Viserys.
Yes. And the fact that he's still willing to move on that and honor that. And Varys showing up to me says the same thing, that even though the Sand Snakes thought he was crapping on the grave of their dead dad, he was still moving the vengeance plot forward.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, yes, the last season was done bad, but in the books, the Sand Snakes are not these great thinkers. They're also impulse young women.
Yes.
They are Barbaras too.
Yeah.
So you have to give credit, and probably it's gonna be done the same way in the books. I wouldn't be surprised because they are so eager to get into war and blood and revenge, but Dorian is just too slow. He's waiting, for the safe ground. He's like Walder Frey. I'm gonna wait for everybody to fight, and then I'm gonna declare war, decide. So,
well, I think it's less that he's being like Walder Frey and picking the winning side, and instead saying he's more of a chess player or a Savas player, and he's saying the pieces are all in motion. We just can't strike too soon. If we strike too soon, we'll lose like Oberyn.
Exactly. And he really wants revenge. I mean but all those Dorne chapters are so long, and you have to really love the books to get into the whole meat of the thing.
Yeah.
But in the show, even in the books, we don't know if Varys was not on the plan with Elia.
That's true.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Is that one Alara?
I always forget.
Mama Sand.
Mama Sand. Yeah, Mama Sand.
That's I don't think. Well, I guess.
Why
the
not?
Guards were in on the move, so we're in on it. So there's potential that Varys was too.
Yeah, why not? Plus, I just want to say something, to tickle the mind of the listeners. I don't know if you're familiar, but LaDonna had this theory that Varys is a woman for the longest time, and I'm on that train. If you look at this scene, Lady Olenna says, "Let the grown women speak," and then immediately after that, Varys
comes out.
And how many times, I'm going to ask you, how many times in this particular season it was pointed out that Varys does not have a cock?
Yep.
Exactly. So this is thing to think about, and I think it would be glorious.
Yep. That's a.
Yeah, I plan to
That's.
do a video on this, together for all the clues from the books.
I look forward to reading it and disagreeing.
Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, if we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right, cool. But
Yeah, there's.
it's fun to think about these things because it would explain so many stuff regarding Varys and his acting.
Hmm.
He has this intuition that is known to be a women's trait.
Uh-huh. Um, and it would also play into a little bit the fact that he's uh, that he occasionally plays as a effeminate gay man.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly. He's the mummer.
yeah.
He's the mummer. So yeah. Anything else on the?
Nothing else on Dorne for me. I it.
Oh, can I make another parallel?
Yeah.
Sorry. Olena's costume was also cool, and you can see this. It's also black. Of
Yes,
course, they're in
it's
mourning.
black and mourning. Hmm.
Yes, but it's like Cersei. So both women are big players, and both women have nothing to lose anymore. And
Yep.
those women are the most dangerous one.
Hmm. And
Think about that.
at least to my recollection, and I did a quick check on the show wiki. We don't know of any other Tyrell children. We don't know that
Oh, we
Olenna.
do know.
We do know in the show that
Yeah. Yes.
we've seen other.
Yes, not seen, but we've heard because you remember in this season, I forget when Sansa gets married to Tyrion this
in
season,
in season
right?
3 with the. Okay, yeah, she does talk about her grandsons when they're
Exactly.
having the cheese scene. You're right.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, so that means there is still an heir to Highgarden somewhere.
Yeah, but they have a choice in the show if they're
Yep.
gonna go into that or just forget about it,
Yeah.
completely.
Or do they just make the implication that that son was a squire to Mace Tyrell? That grandson was a squire to Mace Tyrell, and or uh, uh, something along those lines, and so was
Yeah.
at the court.
When all Tyrells moved to King's Landing, he couldn't
Yep.
move with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They all shared one big apartment.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
yeah, that's it.
okay,
Did
so
you did you know, like, because we're gonna go into Marine now, right?
yeah.
My first and only viewing so far, I did not catch that he was that some time has passed, and then when Varys was with Daenerys scene in the last scene in the episode in the finale, I thought there were two Varys or something like along those lines with faceless men because I did not see the Tyrell ships. So
I didn't see the Tyrell ships, and I noticed Varys there. I I didn't have a problem with it.
no,
I didn't think something along those lines. I just figured, okay, it's the show's being weird about time again. One thing I'd like to do, and I'm sure somebody will beat me to it, is make a timeline of the season for each character with an idea of what's actually happening when. Like what aspects of Arya's season 5 or aspects of Arya's season 6 are happening really early, and then there's 4 episodes or 4 episodes in the North worth of time where
yeah, it's
no,
gonna be a hard job,
yep.
It's really hard. But I mean, if you have at least two scenes where it's obvious that a lot of time has passed, then
Mm-hmm.
what's the problem? And yes, it is, we are used to and we prefer as humans linear storytelling and everything, and they're doing linear. But, this fast forward, who wants to watch Littlefinger traveling? I mean, what
Exactly.
so of course they're gonna choose it to do it that way, and I in grand scheme of things, I don't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can bother me, but like I'm not gonna moan about that. Come
Yeah,
on.
but I'm not upset that we didn't get Tyrion on a raft for a season and a half.
Yes, thank you. I agree with that. With all the Sivas thing and then the turtles.
Yeah.
Who cares about that? It was bad in the books. I mean, I'm gonna put it out. I don't care. I think Martin he just writes too much sometimes.
So the breakup, the Dario and Danny breakup, which, no surprise. I figured something along those lines was exactly what was going to happen because she needs to be available, and she's not a king, and so she can't get away with mistresses in the same way.
Well, maybe she does not want to.
And, yeah, that too.
Maybe she wants to be, taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I meant. That a contender for the king having a mistress would not keep him from being taken seriously.
Yeah, because if she oh my god, what I'm saying, if she carries a child, then...
If she fathers a child, yes, there would be questions.
Exactly. It's easier to question that when it comes to women than to men, because,
Yep.
But if we're gonna nitpick, I did have a problem with various scenes in terms of it was just too long. I wanted to be done with.
I've never had much love for Dario. So
this Dario, yes. The first Dario, I said it many times, but first Dario was a sex god. This Dario looks like he would read me poetry about his vegan bicycle, and this is what he did in this scene. And no, thank you.
Oh, see, I thought the first Dario just looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
No, I don't have problem. My husband looks like Shaggy. I have a soft spot for nice looking men. I mean, I'm not saying this Dario he's a good actor probably, but not for this role. And he's pretty, but he's not Dario.
Yeah,
he's definitely not Dario. He cannot carry the first Dario actor was able to carry this Dario thing from the books. He was, it's this character. That's why I love it. Women love men who you're not sure if he's gonna fuck you or kill you or something like that. A little bit of danger, yeah. So nobody cared for this scene. It was like, come on, be done it within 2 seconds, and ciao, Dario.
It was more of a Danny scene than a Dario scene.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, Johnny, do you think that this is going to have some consequences for, because Dario might do some damage too?
I don't. Honestly, I think this is the last we're going to really hear of Marine. Because the only consequences I could see would be Marine falling to the slavers once she's left.
Because... But he can have some he can affect it.
I don't see that happening.
He's spiteful in the he would hold a grudge in that's how he is in the books, at least.
I don't think he is in the show though. I think he's like you said, more poetic. And I don't see him as the guy who's going to hunt her down, because if he can't have her, no one else should.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you are probably right, because if we're gonna get 2 more seasons with less than 20 episodes, why go there? Mm-hmm. They just kill this plot and that's it.
And they ended it really well with the Bay of Dragons moment. Well, we can't call it Slaver's Bay anymore, can we?
Yes. Is it a better name?
It sounds a little bit more like an amusement park.
Yeah, that's true. Because dragons are not, cute little puppies. They are weapons.
They're not the cute little puppies that Tyrion wanted growing up.
Yeah.
I don't think, if we're talking about places I don't think we're going to see anymore, I don't think we're going to see Marine again. I don't think we're going to see Bravos again. The only way I think we'll see either of them is if the clash between the 2 fleets happens at Bravos.
Well, I don't know why they would go all the way north to the Bravos,
yeah,
but what I wanted to say is that yes, and thank God all the new for not, for leaving the Marine, because I did not like that part in the books. It's just too complicated, and no wonder they called it a Marine is not, because it's, come on, be done with it, let's move, So I think everybody's, we waited, at least people watching the show, they waited 6 years for Danny to leave Essos. and it's finally happening.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you something more, Johnny. Since Danny has all these people, all these different cultures and everything, and you know that there was a bit of problem with grayscale thing, do you think it's possible that she's going to have a problem with it while they're traveling? You know, like a disease outbreak?
Ooh. I hadn't thought about that. We didn't see this. We didn't see grayscale in Marine the way we get it foreshadowed in the books, because in the books there's the slavers hold Marine under siege and are tossing plague bodies over.
Yeah, the pale mare.
Yeah, the pale mare over the walls, and we also have Jorah still sticking around there long after his grayscale has started to be full on grayscale.
Yeah, it's just fun thing to think about. But
Yeah.
what we're gonna have, because her travel, unfortunately, is gonna be, although she's traveling to Dorne, obviously, because this is a perfect place to land, and it ties to the whole Nymeria thing.
Yeah.
The Queen Nymeria. But we have a wild card, which is called Euron.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
Well, that's why I was thinking that I can't think of a reason for them to stop at Braavos, other than it would be a place for us to see a ship-on-ship battle.
But it's a big detour.
It is a very big detour, but I can't think of another place where we would see that unless we see it on the shores of Dorne, on the coast of Dorne. Because what we're not going to see is Euron. We're not going to see Rhaeni going in for a land battle.
Well, Dany can land anywhere because she has a dragon, right? She can just fly up. But she has these tons and tons of people. She needs to land somewhere, and I think Dorne is the perfect choice. Plus, if you take into account that Varys was there, this is, they're waiting because they are, welcomed there.
Yeah, and she's going to grow her army even more.
Yes, the problem is, and it's already was a problem, but they never tackled it in the show, is how is she feeding all these people? And if they land in Dorne, as Sean from History Westeros pointed out, how they're going to feed the horses in the desert?
Yeah.
They might just not bother with that in the show, but it's going to cause some problems in the fandom.
Yeah. It can be argued that the Dothraki know how to forage for their horses.
Fair point.
Given that Vastothrak is not exactly a pastoral wonderland.
Yes, and Dorne is waiting for them anyway.
Yep.
So they might have prepared some food. Yeah, you make fair points. Yeah, he can be wiggled.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Euron? Is he going to be able to build 1,000 ships and
from the one tree left on Pike?
Maybe like stone ships.
Yeah. Is he going to be able to? Yes, because if he doesn't, it's crappy drama. But seeing, having Yarasha and Theon leave with an armada was kind of tricky for me for that very reason. I thought the reason that they had an armada was because they were going to show up behind the master's ships and pull a Blackwater on them, so they were pinned between Meereen and Theon and Yara's Iron Fleet. But what we saw was cooler, and we saw the exact same thing happen with the Knights of the Vale. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But it did mean, at least to me, that Theon and Yara showing up at Meereen had less immediate value. What I think we're going to see from them is next season an excuse for why there are trained ship-to-ship combatants in Dany's fleet when she does run into Rhaeni somewhere.
Yeah, but at first I had some problems with it, but then I thought about it because we need to look at it from the, bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at the bigger picture, and I loved the explanation of Yarasha that she wants this new rule set in Iron Islands because it's a good choice, it's a wise choice, because they've been rebelling, I'm sorry, so many years and centuries, and it never turned out well. So we have a strong woman who's taking charge, and she has a new system. She wants to start a new system, and they can, be a rich place if they're wise, because they can be a fishing,
they can be
builders,
traders.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better if you work with somebody than just war every 10 years. It's ridiculous.
It is pretty coincidental, though, that 5 minutes after meeting Yara, Danny breaks up with her boyfriend.
Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. Well, I don't mind. First, I mind, yes, because Yara is a bit different character in the books. She's a strong woman who likes men. But their choice to make her bisexual or a lesbian is, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's different from the books, but it's fine either way to me. So I'm not gonna nitpick about that. I cannot moan anymore because I moaned last season, and I don't like being negative in general. So yeah, but they are setting up, this whole season they were trying to sync and put, fast forward some things, and some things were going more slow than in the books because they wanted to get to a certain place, and they synced it so everything, matches perfectly. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, even Martin's doing that. So, I mean, how many characters happen to be at the right place at the right time in the books? Now, as for what else did we want to talk about?
Tyrion and Danny, at least briefly, I want to talk about the set design for that scene, and I feel like they designed the Myronese throne room around this scene, around knowing that they're going to have Tyrion in a scene like this with Daenerys, and that they didn't want it to look, by having those steps everywhere, basically built like a theater set where you've got different levels. They can make them at eye level without being it looking ridiculous.
That's a good point. You see, this is why you need somebody from theater to things. Amazing, Johnny. Amazing. Yes, I agree with you. Never thought about it.
I really do think that the whole throne room was designed with Tyrion's arrival in mind. That said, I loved every moment of their conversation, with the exception of I didn't believe in anything, but now I believe in you. It was a little bit too 1980s sports movie for me. a little bit too Remember the Titans, which is
they
2000s.
What is this movie with Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
It's cheesy. What is his name? This Scientologist guy.
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, maybe the dialogue was a little bit cheesy, but I would believe that I'm gonna use that word. I would believe that Tyrion would like Dany because of the dragons, and they did not do it in the show, but in the books, Tyrion is obsessed by dragons.
Yes, they've hinted at it a couple times. They talked about it in when he was at Winterfell, actually.
Yeah, and when he was releasing the dragon, he also stored.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a big possibility he's gonna ride a dragon, right?
Yep, he's gonna be one of the heads.
Yeah.
Overall for the season, the writing of the dialogue has shifted in a way that I think there have been a few more cheesy lines, but it also overall, I think, made for better television, because we were able to have things like every Grey Worm Missandei Tyrion scene I absolutely loved, because they wrote the awkwardness so perfectly.
Yes.
And the I can't even remember now if Olenna and no, I guess that was it last season that Olenna and the High Sparrow had their chat? Or, no, that was episode 2,
Yes.
wasn't it? When was it? Oh, they're all
It's
bleeding together.
Space Life was last season.
It was last. Okay, then that one
Yeah.
doesn't count. But or the John and Sansa moments.
Yeah.
They've been more technical with their dialogue, I guess would be the way to go. They speak less and say just as much, and I think that has been one of the reasons that the flow of this season has, as a whole, worked so much better than season 2 or 3, where they had to work around the fact that George R. R. Martin had as much room as he wanted, and they had 600 minutes of television, and that's really about it to tell the same amount of story.
Yeah, I think so. You're saying that this is your favorite season so far?
It's between this season and last season for me, and I think I'll have to sit on it a little bit more before I decide. But I think that this was, from a purely script standpoint, like purely the writing of dialogue, I think it was the best television.
Yes, I would agree with you. Well, I'm not educated nor I have experience in the theater, so I cannot be the, proper person to judge that because I actually don't
No,
have
I'm totally willing to put to hold my nose high in the air about
Of course, and
writing.
you should because you know these things. I don't know. I'm just, I read a lot of books and, but not lately because of school, unfortunately. But I read a lot of physics books.
Yeah.
But yes, I could see that too. And it's funny, it happened the minute before they did not have any material from the books, and then Martin did not have anything to do with the show, so it was funny. It's just a jab. I mean, I like Martin, whatever, but if we're gonna criticize, then we should criticize Martin too.
Well, Martin does have a TV writing background.
Yes.
But it's not that what he wrote was less good. It's that what they were constrained by having to do more to follow at least closely what he did, and he just had a lot more words to write with. He had a lot more time. A television script is going to be like 60 to 80 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to just type it out, that's a minute of dialogue is a page, or at least that's in a play.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but Martin actually left the TV because he worked on many shows like Twilight Zone, right?
The 80s version of the Twilight Zone. He did he wrote for Beauty and the Beast with Ron Perlman, the 90s sci-fi Beauty and the Beast, and a few other things.
Yeah, but my point is that he said that he actually left the TV writing because he was fed up with, being constantly edited and cut out. You have to respect the line. So yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say that he's a bastard or anything. He's whatever. He's a good writer. He's the reason why we're here. But it doesn't mean that we cannot be, if we're gonna be realistic, David, and then we need to be, it's democracy.
Yep.
So, but in general, I agree with you. Although, as I said, I'm not educated in this field, but I sensed the difference in the dialogue, and it felt that the show has grown up this season.
It felt it was exceptionally good television throughout, which was there were no clunkers. It never felt draggy to me. I know others have disagreed, but it felt very well paced to me.
Yes, and I'm just checking the IMDb, and the Winter episode has 62,197 votes, perfect 10 out of 10. So the last episodes have 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
This makes IMDb is not some kind of reference, but still, people took time to go and vote. So,
Yep.
Yes, it was epic. And I just want to say one more thing, that what we've seen in this season, apart from great music, great costumes, we should be grateful not grateful, but give credit to all people who are working on the show. And it's thousands and thousands of people. They're all doing great job, and it works like a clockwork, obviously, because they manage to deliver every year. But this season is the Strong Women season, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because all the resolutions happened because women took charge, and I think it's really cool to see that.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of that is taking criticism from last season to heart, and how much of it was planned out. It was planned before those controversies happened. So, but you're definitely right on that front, that from Cersei to Sansa to Dany to Lady Mormont to the Sand Snakes, whether or not you agree with everybody's decisions, there were women driving, and Melisandre,
Yes,
and Arya, driving the plot forward pretty much every episode. Any last things you want to say about the season or about the episode before we wrap things up?
I really enjoyed the season, and watching it, and then being part of the community who does podcasts and reviews on YouTube and online. But mostly I want to give a big, thank you to you, Johnny, and for Alexandra. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to meet you here tonight. But thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm a really big fan, and I think all of your listeners agree. You do a really good job, and so thank you very much for having me here.
Absolutely, Niko. I'm so glad that we were able to, that I was able to, because this is something I've been wanting to do with you since I started doing the podcast. So everybody, you can check out Nina on not Nina. You can check out Niko on YouTube as Tina Foyle. If you're listening to this when we launch it Wednesday morning, you'll be able to catch her on James of Thrones, right?
Yes, James of Thrones' channel. We are doing Small Council well, people call us Small Council. I hope we're gonna be able to make it on Wednesday, because it's a really big panel and we have some logistic problems now. So maybe even next week. I'm not sure. I'm not making any promises, but still, go check it out, because we have so much content on James of Thrones.
I try to drop in whenever I can, just as a listener, and they do a live hangout at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays, from generally 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays. And that's generally, for about 3 hours?
Yes, 3 hours, because it's a really big panel.
Yep, there's been 5 or 6 people every time I've watched it. And I'll have a couple more links to places you can find Niko in the show notes, so check those out. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the dozens of hours of podcast we've had over the course of this season, and for all of the new listeners we've had over the past 10 weeks. It's been really exciting, and I know Alex would say the same thing, to get all of your feedback and to get all of your thoughts, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, or in an email. So, as always, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/GotThrones, on Twitter at GotThronesPcast, or you can just drop us a note at GotThronesPodcast@gmail.com, or just visit GotThrones.com if you want to say more. And we'll have more content on new shows coming out in the next few weeks. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and until whenever the next time is. Bye-bye.
Bye.